Hey folks, Tito here at the Black and Gold Blitz. Follow me on Twitter at FitHappens. We're on Fantasy Sports powered by DSP Media, and I got a lot to get into today. FantasySports.com is the website. Download the free app for Apple and Android users. Fantasy Sports, lots of great content all the time on there. New shows popping up all the time. Right there at your fingertips. You won't miss anything that we talk about. There's also a Facebook group, Fantasy Sports Facebook group. Interact with hosts and other fans. It might not seem like it. Steelers season's close. August 9th, preseason opener at Jacksonville. They open up the season September 7th against the Jets. And, of course, the Jets are the former team of the new quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Aaron Rodgers, who's now in camp. And the Rodgers-Jets thing never worked from the start. And I'm not saying Rodgers is blameless in this. He gets hurt right away. Right in his, third, fourth play, whatever it was, second play it was, of his career with the Jets. He's out for the year with the torn Achilles. So misses all that time. Now, when you have the torn Achilles, Kirk Cousins can attest to this. You saw it with him too. But that first, when you come back, and he came back within the year, and he struggled for the first half of last season with the injury. Now, the Jets had other issues too. He never really seemed to click with Garrett Wilson, their top receiver. But the Jets had other issues as well. Devontae Adams even didn't help things out that much there either. But in his last 10 games, Aaron Rodgers completed 64% of his passes for 2,234 yards, 18 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions. That goes out to a rating of 97. Now, if you put that over 17 games, it'd be 3,791 yards, still 64% obviously, 31 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. That's a day. Look, if the Steelers can get that out of Rodgers, that'd be a very successful signing. You're talking about a team now that will be in the playoffs, I believe, because of how strong the defense is. They're going to figure out the TJ Watt thing. I know Watt's holding out for a new contract. That'll get figured out. That'll be fine. But if you get those kind of numbers out of Aaron Rodgers, and then I think that you're looking at a playoff team, and a team that could make a run, even for that matter. They're better than the Bengals. I'm sorry, better than the Browns. The Bengals, I think they could, if Rodgers puts up those kinds of numbers, the Bengals defense is going to be so bad this year. I think that the Steelers are also better than the Bengals. Battle out against the Ravens again for the division title for the AFC North. But if they can get that kind of production out of Rodgers, I'll be very excited about that. And, it's funny because when the talk was about Rodgers or Kirk Cousins or what are they going to do, I initially was not that excited about the prospect of Rodgers, but now it's grown on me. Another reason it's grown on me is because it sounds like he's been engaging in camp, and he's said he's going to mentor. He wants to mentor Will Howard, which is huge, because we heard Joe Flacco's comments about being a mentor, and Flacco with the Browns is like, I'm not a mentor. I'm here. I'm trying to win my job. I'm not trying to get anybody else ready. I'm trying to win my job. I'm going to lead by example, but don't task me with being a mentor to somebody. Rodgers is kind of embracing that. Rodgers has a 1 or 2 year window here to see what he can do and see if he still has it. 41 is still young for a lot of quarterbacks, and like I say, the fact he's now going to be well past the Achilles injury, I think he'd have a really good year this year for Pittsburgh. And the key is going to be finding reliable number 2 receiver to go with DK Metcalf. Right now, it looks like Calvin Austin III and maybe Roman Wilson, who missed last season with an injury as a rookie, are the most likely receivers to fill that role. Or it could be Pat Freiermuth, may be the number 2 receiver, or even Jonnu Smith. They talked about getting from the Dolphins if they were to get him. I love Smith. I like Smith better than Freiermuth as far as a receiver goes. Smith had a really good year last year, end of the season. I like him quite a bit. But you may end up seeing a tight end for the Steelers be the number 2 receiver, even Jaylen Warren perhaps out of the backfield. Rodgers is going to be afraid to throw to him. So, but I would like to see them get a good, solid number 2 receiver they can count on behind DK Metcalf. The DK Metcalf trade I love the fact signed the extension. It's a big contract they gave him, but DK Metcalf is a dynamic receiver, and I think that he'll be the best. He's the best receiver Rodgers has ever played with. I kind of blurted that out. I'm trying to think about it now if that's true, but he might be the most talented receiver he's ever played with. So they got to find out if they have that number 2 receiver on the roster. There's some wide receivers holding out that have appeal, mainly Terry McLaurin in Washington, although I think he'll end up staying with Washington. But if they could get Terry McLaurin, and I don't know the cap situation, how it would even work, but if they could somehow find a way to get him, that would be the best wide receiver duo in the league there with McLaurin and DK Metcalf. So that's going to be important to find that. I don't want them to go back to signing, the old friends of Rodgers, Alan Lazard, and guys like that. I don't want to see them pull those guys out again and have them playing for the Steelers. I just develop Austin and Roman Wilson, or rely on the wide receivers, or go out and get an established receiver that's not somehow tied to Aaron Rodgers. Other news for the Steelers roster, they agreed to a 2-year, $12.5 million extension with safety Deshaun Elliott. That's a good signing for them. They still need to get the TJ Watt thing figured out, but this defense being what it is. And I'm curious how you feel about it as fans. If, let's say, the Rodgers experiment fails, let's say they go 5-12 and have an awful season, do you think Tomlin's job would be on the line at that point? I know we've got this great streak. I'm not saying he should be. I'm just curious, though, how Steelers fans feel about this, because I know they got the streak of never a losing season. But he also has been a long time since Steelers won a playoff game. We know that as well. So if it flames out here, do you go to a full rebuild? Defense is getting older. I know they've drafted some players lately, and I'm excited to see how they do in their new roles. The offensive line was dinged up, and I'm excited to see how that plays out as well. But if, Caleb Johnson was running back, I think he could be really good. But if it does somehow fail, what would it take for Rodgers' job to be in jeopardy? I personally don't think the Steelers would make a move unless it was completely catastrophic and the culture went out the window. The culture built there by Mike Tomlin is so strong, and you've got solid leaders in there with Hayward, with Watt, solid guys leading the way for this team. So I think it would take like an utter collapse and some other extenuating circumstances to maybe force them to make some kind of move or consider a move there with the coaching staff, the head coach specifically. Pennsylvania's governor, Josh Shapiro, is talking about using some funding, some state funding for sports arenas. With the Eagles lease is going to be expiring in 2032, and he wants to talk to the Eagles Steelers about improvements to the stadiums and how they can. There's nothing specific yet, but he just wants to. He has said he wants to talk about that with the team, see what they would need, see if there's a way to get some state funding for those stadium upgrades. Pittsburgh Stadium opened up back in 2001. Lincoln Financial Field for Phillies 03. Seems very, even still, and maybe this is get off my lawn guy, but it seems very strange to me that there's stadiums that are being talked about either being replaced or upgraded and all these things. When we're talking just 24 years ago, whatever it was for Pittsburgh, and 22 years ago for Philadelphia. When I was growing up, stadiums were around. You had stadiums like Soldier Field. Things were around forever. It seemed like, but that the new wave is now. Yeah, they're looking to make upgrades pretty early on. So we'll see what happens with that. But I think it's intriguing that Pittsburgh's governor is talking about providing some funding if possible. We'll see how that all comes out. But again, folks, it's right around the corner now. We're there. It's August 9th, preseason opener, Jacksonville. September 7th, Rodgers goes back to New York to face the Jets. Should be a lot of fun. Justin Fields and the Jets, the former Steeler quarterback from the start of last season at least. But that's it for us now on the Black and Gold Daily Blitz. Make sure you follow me on Twitter @ThatHappens. We are FanStream Sports, powered by DSP Media. Go download the app. It's free for Apple and Android users. Check that out, please, and we will talk again soon.